In the golden age of American television, one young actress captured hearts nationwide with a magnetism that felt both effortless and profound. With natural talent and emotional depth beyond her years, she became a household name before reaching adulthood. Emmy recognition arrived early, magazine fame followed, and Hollywood seemed limitless. Millions of fans watched her grow up on screen, celebrating every triumph and feeling every heartbreak alongside her characters. Then, unexpectedly, she stepped away from it all at the height of her powers. For over 3 decades, fans wondered why someone at the pinnacle of success would simply disappear. Her story reveals courage, struggle, and ultimately redemption, a journey that speaks to anyone who's ever felt the weight of expectations become too heavy to bear. Born in September 1962 in Los Angeles, Kristy grew up far from Hollywood glamour despite living in its shadow. Her parents separated early in her childhood, leaving her mother Carolyn to provide for the family alone in an unforgiving city. Carolyn juggled secretarial work with side jobs, including occasional film extra work, not chasing dreams of stardom, but pursuing the practical necessity of keeping a roof over her children's heads. Money was always tight, and every dollar counted in their modest household. During one set visit where childcare wasn't an option, Kristy and her brother Jimmy accompanied their mother to work. Someone on the crew noticed the siblings and casually suggested they try commercial work. What began as practical advice from a stranger became a life-changing opportunity. Both children began auditioning, gradually landing spots for household products, toothpaste, cereal, toys. The income, though modest by Hollywood standards, made a genuine difference to a struggling single mother trying to make ends meet. Jimmy possessed natural ease before cameras, charming directors with his easygoing personality and photogenic smile. But Kristy displayed something truly exceptional that set her apart from other child actors flooding auditions. Even young, she communicated emotion with unusual sophistication and authenticity. She didn't merely recite dialogue with rehearsed precision, she inhabited it, bringing an interior life to even the smallest roles. Industry professionals who'd seen thousands of child actors recognized something special in this girl, an ability to express both youthful innocence and profound wisdom simultaneously, as if she'd lived multiple lifetimes already. She appeared on shows like Apple's Way, Starsky and Hutch, and The Bionic Woman, making impressions that lasted beyond her brief screen time. Casting directors and producers began remembering her name, requesting her specifically for roles. Then 1976 brought her defining opportunity, ABC's drama series Family, where she'd portray Letitia Buddy Lawrence, a role that would transform her from working child actor into genuine star. At just 13 years old, Kristy's performance in Family exceeded all expectations and announced the arrival of a generational talent. Her character wasn't simplified or stereotypical. Buddy wrestled with genuine adolescent complexity that reflected the real struggles of American teenagers. The series addressed substantial themes rarely explored on television at the time: fractured families, self-discovery, the painful challenges of maturation. Kristy's authentic portrayal resonated powerfully with audiences who saw their own lives reflected in Buddy's journey. Emmy recognition arrived swiftly and repeatedly, nominations 3 consecutive years, with wins in 1977 and 1979, 2 Emmy Awards before turning 18, unprecedented achievement that made her the youngest actress to accomplish such a feat. Media crowned her America's beloved younger sibling, the girl everyone wished lived next door. Her image graced countless magazine covers. Teenage girls studied her style and admired her authenticity. Boys developed innocent crushes. Parents approved of her wholesome yet relatable image. Behind public success, however, lay private complexity that few understood. Carolyn managed Kristy's career while depending financially on her daughter's earnings, creating an uncomfortable dynamic. Later reflecting on this period with hard-won perspective, Kristy acknowledged feeling she'd become the responsible adult while her mother seemed childlike in comparison. Such reverse dynamics carry lasting psychological impact. While peers navigated typical teenage concerns like first dates and college applications, Kristy balanced professional demands with family financial security, carrying burdens no child should bear. Her schedule proved unrelenting and exhausting. Education occupied mornings with on-set tutors, production filled afternoons with takes and retakes, promotional appearances consumed evenings with forced smiles and polished answers. Interviews where she revealed nothing real, photo sessions where she posed for hours, ceremonies where she accepted awards while feeling empty inside. Everyone demanded her time and energy, and she gave it freely. She complied because it seemed expected, what dedicated professionals did. They worked tirelessly without complaint, maintaining the illusion of effortless success. When Family concluded in 1980 after 5 seasons, Kristy had turned 18 and felt completely depleted. But Hollywood's machinery doesn't accommodate exhaustion or honor human limitations. Success generates further opportunities requiring more commitment, more energy, more of yourself. The industry demanded she continue forward, and she did, because stopping felt impossible. The year Family ended, Kristy appeared in Little Darlings, alongside Tatum O'Neal, in what would become a defining film of the era. This coming-of-age narrative followed 2 summer camp attendees from different worlds, making provocative bets about losing their virginity. Kristy portrayed Angel Bright, a street-smart girl who projected toughness while hiding deep vulnerability and insecurity. Critics praised her natural performance and emotional honesty. The film became culturally significant, sparking conversations and becoming required viewing for a generation. It elevated Kristy from television star to legitimate film actress with serious credibility. Projects multiplied at a dizzying pace. That same year brought The Night the Lights Went Out in Georgia, with Dennis Quaid and Mark Hamill, a Southern drama where she held her own against established actors. She earned among the highest teenage actress salaries of that era, numbers that made headlines. In 1981, Neil Simon's Only When I Laugh featured her as the daughter of a recovering alcoholic, opposite the formidable Marsha Mason. A Golden Globe nomination and enthusiastic critical praise followed, cementing her reputation as an actress of genuine substance. Superficially, everything appeared ideal and enviable. Industry publications declared her Hollywood's most bankable young talent, the safest bet for box office success. Studios competed for her involvement in projects. Scripts flooded in daily. Her agents fielded constant calls. Internally, however, something was fracturing, small cracks spreading through her foundation. She later admitted with painful honesty the difficulty refusing requests from directors who wanted just one more take, producers who pushed for one more project, or her mother who needed the income. Hollywood's philosophy operates simply: capitalize on momentum while it exists. Kristy's momentum blazed intensely, so affirmative responses continued automatically. Films, publicity tours, promotional appearances, magazine covers. Before completing one project, the next location awaited with plane tickets already booked and hotel rooms already reserved. Exhaustion accumulated relentlessly like debt with compound interest. Marathon workdays stretching 16 hours, constant travel across time zones, hotel living where every room looked the same, zero adolescent normalcy or breathing room. Her childhood friends attended football games and socialized casually at malls, living the teenage lives portrayed in movies. She worked alongside hardened adults, expected to maintain professional polish continuously, never allowed to simply be young and uncertain. 1982's The Pirate Movie, a musical comedy attempting to modernize Gilbert and Sullivan, received harsh critical reception and brutal reviews. She faced a Golden Raspberry nomination for Worst Actress, bitter contrast to recent celebration as Hollywood's brightest emerging talent. The issue wasn't performance quality or lack of effort, but rather Kristy's complete physical and emotional depletion showing through on screen. You can't fake energy you simply don't possess anymore. By 1984, deterioration became undeniable to everyone around her. Just the Way You Are, a romantic drama filmed in the French Alps during winter, cast her as a musician with disabilities, learning self-acceptance and discovering love. The thematic irony was striking and almost cruel. Kristy herself was crumbling while few noticed or knew how to intervene, everyone hoping someone else would address the obvious problem. During French production in isolated mountain locations, severe panic attacks began without warning. Rapid heartbeat that made her think she was dying, insomnia lasting days, night sweats that soaked through sheets, breathing difficulties that left her gasping and terrified. Rapid weight loss made clothing hang loosely on her shrinking frame. Friends and crew members observed her appearing hollow and ghost-like, gradually fading from the inside out, the light in her eyes dimming daily. When she pleaded desperately for assistance, begging someone to help her, her team encouraged perseverance with empty platitudes. "We'll manage," they assured her with confidence they didn't earn. "Just push through." But management wasn't happening. She was drowning in plain sight while people watched and did nothing, assuming someone else would throw her a lifeline. Back in Los Angeles, doctors diagnosed severe exhaustion, crippling anxiety, and profound emotional trauma accumulated over years. For someone who'd been everyone's reliable anchor throughout adolescence, the strong one everyone leaned on, this diagnosis felt like personal failure and public humiliation. Studios attempted damage control, attributing everything to chemical imbalances beyond anyone's control, making it seem medical rather than environmental. Tabloids proved predictably unkind, portraying her as another tragic child star collapsing under pressure, fitting neatly into a familiar narrative. Reflecting years afterward with hard-won wisdom, Kristy observed that addiction recovery might have proven easier than her prolonged ordeal of mental illness. At least addiction has clear treatment paths and public sympathy. She eventually completed Just the Way You Are, summoning reserves she didn't know she possessed, but 1984 audiences witnessed genuine suffering projected on screen. The vulnerability shown wasn't masterful performance. It was unfiltered reality leaking through. Career continuation attempts followed half-heartedly. Appearances in Dream Lover, You Can't Hurry Love, and The Forgotten One occurred, going through motions, but passion had evaporated completely, replaced by obligation and fear. Hollywood had moved on to the next fresh face, and honestly, so had she. The industry that built her fame had nearly destroyed her soul in the process, taking everything and offering little in return. Later diagnosis of bipolar disorder explained so much that had seemed inexplicable before. Performances' intense highs where she felt invincible followed inevitably by crushing lows where she couldn't get out of bed. Sleeplessness stretching for days, mood fluctuations that felt like being on a runaway roller coaster. Inexplicable profound sadness that descended like fog. Years spent functioning with undiagnosed mental illness under constant public scrutiny, cameras always watching, judgment always waiting. Throughout everything, brother Jimmy remained steadfast and loyal. They'd begun this journey together as auditioning children competing for cereal commercials, and when Kristy's world shattered completely, Jimmy was present without hesitation. He moved into her home, handled daily necessities she couldn't manage, cooked meals she couldn't eat, and helped navigate her darkest period with patience and love. She wasn't just my sister. Jimmy later reflected emotionally. She was my kid, my best friend, my responsibility. 1988 brought NBC's offer of something desperately needed: stability and structure. Empty Nest, a Golden Girls spin-off featuring established stars, would feature her as police officer Barbara Weston living with her widowed father and quirky sisters. It wasn't heavy dramatic material like Family that had made her famous, but provided belonging and community. The cast offered genuine support rather than competition, the atmosphere stayed light and collaborative, and finally Kristy experienced laughter replacing constant pressure and criticism. Fans rejoiced at her television return after years away. Empty Nest succeeded immediately, airing Saturday nights alongside the Golden Girls in NBC's powerhouse lineup. Viewers embraced Kristy again like welcoming home a family member who'd been away too long. The show's warmth and humor seemed to reflect Kristy's own healing, but internally struggles continued relentlessly. The same emotional turbulence that nearly destroyed her in the 1980s kept returning in waves. Some days brought insomnia where sleep felt impossible, others brought uncontrollable tears she couldn't explain. She'd arrive on set smiling and joking, then collapse privately in her trailer afterward, the mask finally dropping. 1992, during season 5 when the show remained popular, brought a shocking decision that stunned cast and network. She departed suddenly. No dramatic exit storyline, no farewell press conference, just quiet exit and empty chair at table reads. Her publicist issued a brief health-related statement that revealed nothing specific, but complete truth wouldn't emerge for nearly a decade, protected by privacy she'd rarely enjoyed. 2001 brought Kristy's revelation about battling manic depression, now termed bipolar disorder in updated medical terminology. "I didn't want to discuss it then," she explained in carefully chosen words. "It was extremely private and painful, but now I want people knowing the truth so maybe it helps someone." Her voice carried conviction born from suffering. Her candor proved revolutionary and courageous. In 2001, mental illness remained heavily stigmatized, especially in Hollywood where perfection was currency. Admitting bipolar disorder could end careers permanently, making you unhireable and uninsurable. But Kristy prioritized helping others struggling similarly understand they weren't alone over image protection or career resurrection she didn't want anyway. She returned briefly for Empty Nest's 1995 finale, providing closure fans deserved, and saying proper goodbye. Afterward, only voice work for animated series Extreme Ghostbusters in 1997 and Invasion America in 1998 occurred, keeping her name alive for younger audiences. Then nothing. Hollywood never again saw Kristy McNichol on screen, and she preferred it that way. Asked about potential comebacks by persistent reporters, Kristy would smile slightly, saying diplomatically, "Never say never," but her tone communicated everything more honestly than words. Her Hollywood chapter had closed permanently. this time on her own terms rather than the industry's. Post-acting, Kristy did something previously impossible throughout her entire life, lived for herself completely. At 39, for the first time since childhood, no scripts dictated her words, filming schedules controlled her days, or publicity obligations demanded her energy. Spotlight silence that once terrified her became profoundly therapeutic. She taught acting at a private Los Angeles school, sharing decades of hard-won experience with students who valued her honesty equally with her technical talent. Teaching maintained connections to beloved art without crushing pressure that nearly proved fatal. She frequently told students that acting wasn't ultimately about fame or awards but empathy, truth, understanding humanity's complexity. The best performances came from genuine feeling, not technique alone. Beyond teaching, Kristy lived quietly and deliberately. She spent quality time with close friends who knew her before fame, supported local charities addressing causes she cared about, and found peace in simple routines previously impossible. Yoga brought mental clarity, regular tennis provided physical release, and filling her home with animals, especially miniature dachshunds she adored, brought daily contentment. "They keep me grounded," she once observed with genuine affection. Dogs don't care about fame or Emmy awards. 1997 brought profound loss when close friend and former partner, actress Elizabeth Brooks, died from cancer far too young. The loss marked her deeply but strengthened commitment to helping others facing similar battles. Cancer research and mental health organization donations followed consistently, supporting causes mattering personally rather than for publicity. Asked what she missed most about acting during rare interviews, Kristy's answer stayed consistently simple: the people. Not the fame, not the pressure or awards, just the people and connections. For her, Hollywood had been simultaneously both blessing and wound, and she was finally healing from trauma. 2012 brought one more surprise announcement. Through her publicist, Kristy announced she was gay and had lived happily with partner Marty Allen since the early 1990s, building a life together away from cameras. It wasn't calculated publicity or magazine cover story, but simple honesty after decades of protective silence. "I want to help others who feel different," she stated clearly, "and support bullied kids who need to know they're not alone." Fans finally saw the real Kristy McNichol, not the carefully crafted teen idol or Emmy-winning actress, but the authentic woman who survived, loved, and grew stronger through adversity and self-acceptance. Marty had stood beside her faithfully through everything: breakdown, empty nest departure, rebuilding years requiring patience. Together they created a peaceful home filled with laughter, loyalty, and tranquility. No cameras invading privacy, interviews demanding answers, or performances requiring masks. Just two people genuinely loving each other, living ordinary, extraordinary lives. Today at 62, Kristy McNichol still lives in Los Angeles near the industry that once consumed her. She teaches occasionally when inspiration strikes, mentors young actors seeking honest guidance, and sometimes attends fan conventions where those who grew up watching her share what her work meant to their lives. Her estimated net worth of $7 to $8 million comes mostly from family, little darlings, and empty nest royalties continuing decades later. But money has never defined her worth or happiness. Survival defines Kristy McNichol more accurately. She once reflected with characteristic insight, "I was on the big stage between ages 8 and 30. I left show business to play my biggest part, myself." This simple yet profound statement captures her entire journey perfectly. Kristy didn't fade from failure or lack of talent. She walked away deliberately to live authentically. In a world where fame often consumes those it touches, that choice might be her greatest performance. She didn't lose herself to Hollywood. She found herself by leaving it behind. What Kristy McNichol role resonated most with you? Share your memories in the comments and subscribe for more stories about stars who transformed Hollywood and their own lives.